Hi everyone, I'm Sage, and I grew up in a very strict religious house. I was a very devout, and I say devout because I followed everything pretty much to the book. LCC Lutheran, which is, it stands for Lutheran Church Canada. In the States it's called Missouri Synod, so it's very fundamental beliefs. No gay marriage, no women pastors, no gay pastors, that kind of thing. Very focused on the gospel rather than the Old Testament, and not traditional as in like Catholic traditional with the censers and all that, but traditional in the sense where during communion the bread and wine are actually Jesus's body and blood and that kind of silly stuff. But I grew up believing that until I was 17, and I never had any doubts about it. It was just, that was the truth, and I never doubted it. My parents never talked about any other alternatives. I was told that, well, I wasn't told, but it was implied that atheists and people of other religions even were bad, they're blinded from the truth, that kind of thing. Like, my family isn't, doesn't discriminate people like that. They're not, you know, they aren't saying that they should all be killed or anything, not even near that, but they were just seen differently, and it wasn't, I respected people for their beliefs, but I kind of looked down on them in a way, which is kind of silly for me to do. And we never talked about any alternatives, I guess. I'm not sure what word to use for that, but it was just, that's the truth. Jesus is the Savior. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no other truth. There's no other options. That's what you believe. That's what you've grown up to believe. And the people who don't come to faith, that don't believe Jesus is their Savior, by the time they die, they're going to hell, and there's no question about it. That's how it is. And I never questioned this at all until I was 17. And it all came to me at once. I'm really not sure what triggered it. It all just suddenly came to me, and I thought, the turning point for me was, I was laying on my bed, and at night, this was like midnight or I don't know, really late at night, and I was just thinking about this. I was thinking, what if there's just nothing? What if there's no God? What if there's nothing? And that thought had never occurred to me. I always thought, oh yeah, there's definitely a God. There has to be. But that night I was really thinking about this. And as I was laying there, whenever I was lonely or sad about something, I always felt this comforting presence, like, you know, God was there, God is taking care of me, He's watching over me. But that night, there's nothing. There was absolutely nothing. There was no presence, it was just me. And I was just by myself, and I was thinking about this. And that presence was just gone. And that night, it just tore me apart. I was crying, I was freaking out, but I didn't want to tell anyone about it because I'd get in huge trouble, and I didn't want that. And I didn't want, because I knew if I told my parents, they would just send me to talk to the pastor, and he would just tell me the same thing that he's told me in his sermons and in confirmation classes and all that, and it would be nothing new. I wanted to figure this out on my own. I didn't want to be told what I should believe anymore. So for a long time I thought, well, either God doesn't exist or God hates me, God's abandoned me. And it really messed me up for a long time, thinking that God had abandoned me. Like, it really screwed me up. I was very emotional about it, and I wouldn't tell anybody about it. Nobody knew. For a while I kept on thinking that maybe God was real, but he doesn't care about me anymore. So I spent a lot of time just blocking religion out. I would still go to church because nobody knew. I would still talk if I was asked about God or anything like that. I would still talk like I was devout and I devoutly believed it, just like I'd always had. And I didn't think about it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to research about it. But after a few months of that, I realized, like, this is messing me up. I can't sleep. I don't want to eat anything. I just feel terrible all the time, and I feel sad all the time. So that's when I started going on YouTube. YouTube actually is what I credit for helping me really let go of my beliefs. And I started watching, there's a show based in Texas called The Atheist Experience. They always have their, they post their episodes on YouTube. So that's what came up. And I started watching Christian to atheist videos like this one, or Christian to agnostic videos. And I still considered myself agnostic for a long time. And I also started going on to online forums, religious forums, and there I was able to talk to people. Most of them, one forum I went to, it was called the Christian Cafe, and I went on there and I told the exact story that I just told you about how I started doubting and how I was really doubting it now and I wanted some answers. And they pretty much just told me, oh, just pray about it. Oh, just talk to your pastor about it. Well, that hasn't helped me. Like, you think I haven't done that? I don't know. I got really annoyed at them. Like, that's all you can offer me? But then some people were telling me, well, you know, this is a personal thing. You have to do the research and you have to figure it out for yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. And I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start doing that. So then I got more into the YouTube and I started listening to different popular atheist figures like Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, and people like that. Hitchens, there's so many, and Matt Dillahunty. And then I really started to get comfortable with the idea of being like an atheist instead of an agnostic. I really, after listening to their arguments, I'm like, yeah, God, I don't think God is real. But I still think that there's a possibility, of course, because there's no way you can eliminate it fully. One thing, Richard Dawkins is still really, he's a figure I really look up to in terms of this, and he uses this scale, 1 to 7 scale. 1 being, I know there is a God, 7 being, I know there is not a God. And he says, well, any rational atheist would be a 6 because you can't know for sure that there's no God. You won't know until you die. So that's where I'm at. I'm still an atheist. But of course, I don't know. So that's where I'm at now. I'm making this video because listening to other people's experiences really helped me, and I really want to help other people who are struggling with this. I think the ideas of religion they're so silly, and I can't believe that I believe the things that I did before, and they're so hateful. Like, really, even people who aren't fundamentalists, even people who say, for example, Christians who accept gay marriage, or Christians who are gay, and they, that's fine, but in the Bible, it says to kill gay people. It says not to associate with gay people. And there's so many other examples like that. And it's really full of hatred, most religions. I don't know. It just really turned me off from religion. I think that we all need to really start thinking about our beliefs. That's what I did. And I'm not an expert on it or anything, but I know enough. I'm comfortable enough with it now. And the fact that the word atheist has such a bad name, that there's so many bad things associated with, like, that's just silly. It just means they don't believe in God. It just means they use reason instead of blindly believing things that are really are stupid, really. I mean, I came from a family, I know there's lots of, I'm just gonna pick on Christians because that's what I'm familiar with. But I know this is true of other religions as well. But most Christians are creationists. I know there's some that believe in evolution, if that's even something that can be believed in, I don't know. But the family I came from, they were all creationists. And after you learn about evolution, like, how, it's called a theory, yeah, but I mean, and that completely goes against the Bible. This is another thing Dawkins has said. The creationists are right in saying that evolution and religion don't go together. They're right in saying that, because they don't. They completely don't. It's completely against everything in theology. So, and that's another thing that led me to questioning, I guess, was an education and an understanding of evolution. This is just a class that I took in high school in biology. I learned about evolution, and it fascinated me. It made so much sense, like everything we do, how we act, how we look. So that's my story. I consider myself a closet atheist, because only a few close friends know. None of my family knows. I'm a student at university right now, and I don't know when I'll tell them, or if I ever will. I guess I'll have to eventually, but I thought in making different videos like that, maybe I can help other people who are like me, who really struggled with this, and it tore me apart emotionally. It really did, and I don't want anyone else to have to go through that. So yeah, if you want to leave a comment or message me, I'd be happy to talk, or I'd be happy to argue with you. Go ahead. But civil arguments, please. But that's kind of my purpose in making this channel, and I really hope that I've helped some of you. If I could even help just one person, I know that people say that a lot, but if I could help one person, that would really make me feel happy, because I don't want anyone to have to go through what I went through. And if anyone's in the same situation as me, as a closet atheist, let me know. So I guess that's all I have to say for now. See you later.